Photo of Hayden Taylor, baby girl.
Baby girl.
Yes. Do you know what that means?
I don't think I do in this context.
Ah, damn.
No, I don't think there's anything baby girl about.
It's quite baby girl if you ask me. And hopefully.
That's recorded, by the way.
Let it be recorded on record. Hayden is baby girl.
I heard that, Enoch, and I'm never going to let you forget it. And Hayden, most respect, I'm never going to let you forget it either.
Okay, hold on. We couldn't hear any of that because your volume was very down low. No, hold on. Audio's fucked. Elijah, keep saying stuff.
La la la, this is me talking because for some reason you all want to hear my wonderful voice. I don't know why, but I'm being told to do what I'm told to do. So this is me being told to do what I need to do. Blah, blah, blah. Can I stop now?
Yes, we're good. Thank you.
Also love the hat.
Thank you. Here, hold on. There's a infinite geometrical red, like a sheriff badge type thing. Sacred geometry, that's the word I was looking for. Okay. All right, I think we're good. We've got the agenda up. We've got this and that, all the things. I think we're about as good as we're going to get today. Oh wait, Morgan's gonna share. All right, I'm gonna write down my notes. Just so you know, their own pride. I just sent the. We're gonna try again.
Very my last no. Yeah,
We just carry on if we can do the new one.
okay, so get going.
I think so.
Hello and welcome to the 11th session of the 54th Senate. To begin, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll now move into the presentation of the CSU land acknowledgement video. We'll now move into the swearing in of new senators and associates. So if that is you,
Huddle, like this.
Please repeat after me. I state your name. I, Justin Perez, do solemnly swear to defend and uphold the rules and regulations set forth by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University and will rightfully perform the duties of my office to the best of my ability. Congratulations.
we'll now move into the beginning roll call.
Speaker Taylor,
Present.
Parliamentarian Camber, present. Officer Kelly, Senator Laura Pardo, Senator Herrera, Associate Senator Rodriguez, present. Senator Melchior, Senator Sandoval,
Present.
Senator Bouchel, present. Chair Miller,
Present.
Chair Buckmore, Senator Monanti,
Present.
Senator Evelyn Rivera, Senator McAllister Johnson, Senator Isaacs, Associate Senator Archibald, Senator Zia Ahmadi,
Present.
Senator Gunsell, Senator Lee, Present, Chair Myers,
Present.
Senator Leggett, Associate Senator Adhikari, Associate Senator Lucero, Associate Senator Brannock,
Present.
Associate Senator Cole Johnson,
Present.
Senator Yoslin Rivera, Senator Alvarez, Chair Snyder,
Present.
Senator Malcolm, Senator Tomas Sorrell, present. Senator Tapia Rodriguez, present. Senator Falbo,
Present.
Senator Salazar, Senator Green, Chair Frisky, present. Chair Davis, here. Senator Luna, here. Senator Yankowski, Senator Pickerel,
Here.
Chair Lutz,
Here.
Chair Fazy, Senator McLaughlin,
Here.
Senator Gilroy, okay, and then I have a few names from last time. I will try my best with pronunciation. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure if this is a senator or associate because it's not here, but Adelaide. Okay. And then Associate Senator Bashman. Okay, how do you pronounce that? Bashman?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank you. And then Associate Senator Barron. Okay, cool. If you're just sworn in, if you could come in at some point and put your name and constituency down here, that would be great. Thank you.
We'll now move into the consent agenda. Do I see any dissent to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move into gallery input. Do I see anybody in the gallery who wishes to speak? Seeing none, we'll move into the guest speaker, which is judicial.
You have a clicker, the top goes back, and the bottom line goes forward.
The top goes back.
Yeah, like a little counter to it.
Cool. Hi everyone, my name is Morgan Wright. I'm the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a senior clinical psychology major, and yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Uh,
Do you want a mic? So you can take the boat talk?
my name is Sam Abdi. I'm the Deputy Chief Justice this year. I'm also a senior as well as Morgan, studying economics.
So today what we're going to talk about is ASCSU best practices. This is kind of referring to the upcoming federal election. Just some kind of things to keep in mind as we move through this election season.
It's not working. Nope. Do I face it down here? No, it should be. I wonder if it's because I forgot the chat open. Hold on. I clicked it. That's why. Okay, it's working now. I wonder if you. This is the USBs, just so you know. So that makes it.
Okay, got it.
So yeah, first of all, we want you all to remember, like I'm sure you've been told many times before, but when you are sworn into ASCSU, you represent the organization and the CSU community. You're not representing Fort Collins, the state of Colorado, or the United States. You're representing the CSU students. And so yeah, in this presentation, like we said, we want to just help you know what the best practice is to represent ASCSU and what not to do as well. So yeah, like you all know, the federal elections are coming up, and so we just want to present to you guys how to represent ASCSU in the best way possible.
What the? French toast? That's weird. It just went to me. There you go. Okay.
Okay, so basically, yeah, our job is to serve the students, and it's basically the well-being of students. So our quote-unquote jurisdiction kind of lies within ASCSU, student body, and CSU campus, honestly. So I really want to emphasize the fact that I think we all know that our country is very divided. We absolutely have the right to our own opinions. This is in no way me trying to say that free speech isn't a thing, because it absolutely is, and it's a very important right. So I want to make sure that that's clear. What we're trying to really talk about today is how to use your position in the correct way. Understand what you as a senator or wherever you are in ASCSU, what your job title means and how impactful that can be. So we need to be cautious of the repercussions of this free speech. And then, yeah, we need to advocate for students. That's why we're here. So, next slide.
Oh, you should be able to do it.
Oh, can I do it now? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, that's the wrong one. So I kind of want to talk about some do's and don'ts on when it's acceptable to evoke the position. Let's see. We want you to encourage your constituents to vote. If you want to say, hey, I'm a part of ASCSU, I'm really passionate about student government, I'm passionate about voting. I would love to see all of my friends out there vote. You can say things in a way that makes sense to your position. And so that's kind of what we want to go for. On the don't side, I would never, as an example, I can't say as the Chief Justice and as this person of power, I suggest or I'm telling you to vote for so-and-so. Don't tell somebody how to vote or how to, behave politically based on your position in ASCSU, because it is a powerful position.
Yeah, and then another do, when presenting yourself as an ASCSU member, whether that's at an event or maybe you met a person for the first time and you're talking about your position, but when you're representing yourself as a senator like you guys would, remember we are an apolitical organization, so in your own personal time or whatever, you can obviously say your opinions, but when you are representing yourself as an ASCSU member, it's important to be apolitical in that aspect.
And on that note, down to the second or third bullet point, ASCSU is an apolitical organization as a whole. whole. So we do not have a stance on any candidate, any party, or anything like that. Like we really don't have a stance. Our goals and our missions are not at the federal level, and so we don't really talk about that.
Yeah, and then obviously anytime you feel the need to specify our services to a student, just please feel free to tell them what you do and how your position benefits students.
Yeah, so don't let this, I'm not trying to scare you all into thinking that, oh, I can't talk about my position or whatever. I just want to make sure that it's kind of clear that we're talking about what ASCSU does for students, not any massive national thing going on now. We're really focusing on my job. We can do this for you. I can advocate for you here. What's going on campus? What are you feeling here? Let's talk about that in our office. And does it pertain to the well-being of CSU students? So to finish off our list of don'ts, please don't engage with other organizations in a hostile way on the grounds that you are a member of ASCSU. I feel like this kind of goes without saying, but again, we are apolitical, and it's very important that if you're a member of other organizations, clubs, whatever, that you are not saying, well, I'm an ASCSU, we're talking about this, and we're doing, make sure that, again, apolitical, very important.
Yeah, and then finally, last one, don't threaten to use your role in a discriminatory or otherwise harmful way against others, organizations, or ASCSU members. We all want to be respectful, kind to one another, just no discriminatory or other way harmful things to other people.
Yeah, we're all on the same team here. We're all trying to have the betterment of our CSU community. So are there any questions? It's kind of short, but sweet. Really just one message. Yeah?
Okay, this works. Just to clarify, this means that we should not be endorsing candidates?
You can endorse candidates on your own time, but just not as an ASCSU representative.
So if I were to have my ASCSU position on like my Instagram, and then I were to endorse a candidate, would that be construed as me using my position to endorse that candidate?
Potentially, it depends on how it's taken. If you want to repost something that has to do with an election or a certain candidate, I would advise caution and kind of just discernment based on what you're posting. And it honestly depends. Like in my bio, I don't have Chief Justice. I just have Colorado State University 2025. I have nothing about ASCSU on my Instagram. So I take that as okay, I've kind of separated myself from ASCSU on a social media level. So I might want to post about this candidate because that's my free time. I've separated myself. I'm just kind of asking to use caution about it. I'm not going to say directly no because you're not running around telling people, talking about it. But also, if you're going to post something about that, maybe if you're just going to do the post, but don't say, I was talking with my friends in ASCSU and we agree that this is who needs to be the president or something.
Right. So nowhere on that post should be anything that's as a benefit of the NATO member base.
Yes, exactly. That's it.
Gotcha.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. I'll let you get back to your Senate session.
We'll now move into executive report. Do everybody an executive wants to speak?
Hi friends, how are you? So nice to see you. Okay. Boom. So I have a lot of fun stuff happening actually. Who's excited? You're about to be. All right. So here is. I wrote this down because I've been preparing for this all week. That's how excited I was. Flipping page. Wrong page. Give me 2 seconds. Does anybody have a funny joke while I stall and try to find the page that I wrote this on? Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Anybody?
How do you know when a joke is a dad joke?
Oh, it would be apparent.
It becomes apparent.
Everybody laughed. That was funny. Okay, good stuff. So I have a few things to present. So first thing is the Purify. Uh-oh, my light turned off. My bad, y'all. So the Purify project is starting November 1st. This is something that I started on last year when I was the deputy director of health, and I worked under Georgia White. She's not with us today, but she is phenomenal. If you don't know Georgia, she is the director of basic needs this year, and she is doing great work. But under her, I started the Purify project, and this allows students to come into ASCSU and lease air purifiers for a week's time, and then they can come. Oh, and it's free, and they can come in again and just keep reloading those air purifiers to take back to their space. The marketing for that will be on ASCSU's Instagram page shortly, so please repost that and share that with your friends. It's a really cool program. It's free of charge, and I'm really excited about it. It's relaunching on November 1st, and we'll be here to stay. Second thing, Spirit Week. Who's excited? All right. So I don't know if you got an email from me about this. Did anybody get an email from me about this? Okay, so a few people have, a few people didn't. I'm gonna go back and update my email list to make sure that I have everybody because I might not. So that's my bad. But the flyer for that is it's not on there unfortunately, but you might have got the flyer. So
I'm looking for it. I have one.
it's in your email. It's
Okay.
in your email if you are looking for it. But anyway, I can tell you the dates right now. You guys know I'm a big fan of saying things 7 times so people can hear them once, so I don't mind. We're gonna go through because I have it right here. Cabinet Spirit Week. Yep. Here we go. Here we go. All right. If you don't have a pen out, please get one. So here's what's happening. This is actually next week. So not this week, but next week. Okay, we got a lively crowd tonight. I'm excited for it. So Monday 28th is Governmental Gear Day, and so everybody should wear student government, like their wear from ASCSU or school colors. So who has some orange, some white, some green? Anybody raise your hand? All right. Who has some ASCSU merch? Anything like a wristband or anything? Okay, perfect. So it looks like all of you can participate. So I'm excited to see you Monday, the 28th, in that governmental gear or the ASCSU colors or the CSU colors. Tuesday is Twin Day. Everybody point at your favorite person in the room. Not me, somebody else. Okay. Yeah, so invite them to dress with you next week on Tuesday. It's gonna be really great. So me and Matt Cam, like Madeline Camberg, we usually do like the same outfits a lot. Like if you don't notice, we're kind of twin day right now. So we'll just do that next Tuesday as well. So feel free to dress alike with one of your colleagues. I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a nice way to boost morale next week. The 30th. I don't know if or if Hayden's gonna be mad at this one, but it's Halloween costume, so feel free to come in costume. I endorse wearing it to Senate, but I'm of course not the leader to this branch. So check in with Hayden because I don't want you to get in trouble. And
Halloween costumes are good. We love Halloween costumes.
Perfect, perfect. All right. So at the end of the year for eyeball, we're voting funnest member of ASCSU. Remember me. Anyway, nonetheless, Friday will be community outreach day. I'm sure we're going to do some sort of tabling or something for students as they're passing by in the LSC. So stay tuned for that. You'll receive another one of those mass and emails from me, and it'll be a-okay. So that is Spirit Week. I hope to see you all next week because it starts
Next
next
week.
All right. So that's that. I want to also explore, so I'm just going to read your faces and see how this one lands with the crowd. We're ram riding on November 15th, and so we're going to need about 28 more volunteers for that. So shortly here, I'm going to pass around a paper if you can. You're going to write your name, your number, your email down. It'll be November 15th. It's a Friday. I didn't do this on a Saturday intentionally because I don't want to extend your work week and you do so much during Monday through Friday. And so adding it on a Friday is helpful, and I don't want you to have to extend it and push it too far for a Saturday. Side note though, to incentivize a ram ride, what do you think about a holiday potluck on November 15th? I'll organize it. You won't have to do it. But a holiday potluck on November 15th. What does the crowd say? The crowd faces. Yeah. Okay. Let me get a thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down. Okay, so we'll work on that. Boom. So I'll work on holiday potluck. You work on signing up from Ram Ride. It sounds like a win-win type of a thing to me.
What time is Ram Ride?
So Ram Ride, this is a great question. I don't know if you've been to Lauren Davis's caucus. You've met with her, but she's phenomenal. She asks great questions, and so that's why I personally love Lauren Davis, and I'm gonna wear my I Love Lauren Davis shirt when I get one. But yes, Ram Ride is gonna start at 9. So you have to be at the off-campus site by 9 a.m. for the presentation or p.m. Yep, 9 p.m. for the presentation. And we're gonna ram ride from 9 to 2 a.m. I know it sounds like a lot, but a lot of y'all stay up studying until 2 a.m. anyway, so I think it'll be okay. That's ram ride. It's a great way to give back to students, to the community, and as members of ASCSU should constantly prioritize service for students anyway. So I don't think this is offending you guys at all. I see that you guys are ready to ram ride. Like it looks like this is gonna be a Baja blast. All right. If I'm losing you on this side of the room, I have something fun. Organizational wellness is still a thing that's happening, and so if you have not yet, this is what. Guys, can we give a round of applause to Mad Cam? She's awesome. Yes. So right here, if you have not pulled your phone out to scan this QR code yet, this is organizational wellness. As you all know, senators are not compensated, and so I'm trying to create comprehensive programming to make sure that there is something that stands in the gap of all the work that you do and some form of compensation. That information can be found here. If you have any questions about this information, it can be found here with me in an email or a text or some sort of question. Okay, so that's that. Please ask about that. The Next Gen Club is also under organizational wellness now. If you have got an email from Braxton about this is going to be a PD opportunity. I talk in acronyms. This is going to be a professional development opportunity for all members of ASCSU to attend a mass networking event. It is going to be on the 31st of January. So it's a little ways away, but you are going to receive constant communication about this. So remember how I say like you hear things you hear things 7 times to hear it once. You'll hear about this like 42 times, so you'll hear it a bunch of times. It's going to be great. You're going to want to be there. It's going to be nice, remember. So that'll be that. And then that's all I have. I want to say thank you for your time. And if you have any questions about anything I just said, feel free to reach out. Stop me when you see me, or ask one of these lovely people for my number because they have it. All right, hot stuff. Oh, thank you. And here's the rail. Oh yes, question right now. Let's do it.
This is a point of information.
Mhm.
What is the parameters for a Halloween costume?
Oh, that's a hating question.
So, like,
Mhm.
real.
Yeah, Hagen, you want to answer that? My fearless leader.
Like, I'm thinking, like, we can get pretty gory on Halloween. Where that kind of stuff.
Um,
We're adults. Use good judgment.
Mm.
I second that.
As long as it's something that still falls within like professional-ish, like you wouldn't be embarrassed to wear it in the Senate space, I think you should be good. If you have any other questions, feel free to text me about your specific costume.
Okay.
Perfect. That answers my question. Thank you.
All right.
I might find we got an amazing presentation last fall about cultural appropriation. If we can find that, we'll share it in the team so that everyone can have some guidelines on that as well.
Is it going to have memory numbers?
I don't know. I think students gave it.
Okay. Okay. Where do you guys want the Ramride sign up to start? Everybody's super excited about it. Perfect. Would it be helpful if I wrote that it's going to be on November 15th?
As you begin passing that out, we can move into judicial report. So have anybody in judicial to Then with that, we can move into legislative reports, beginning with officers. I don't think I have a lot. I just have to give a quick shout out to my dad in the back who came to watch this session. So yeah, thank you for coming. That's all that I have.
I feel like I yap more than any parliamentarian ever has. Couple of things. When we're sharing legislation or working between committees, or even just like in any ASCSU business, I ask that you share an attachment rather than a link because every time it's never straightforward. We always have some issue with access. And so just download it as an attachment and share it as an attachment that will cause the least amount of stress, strain, pain, etc. Going forward, also, we will not accept legislation that is not in the 54th Senate template. We've been pretty cool about it going forward, just kind of letting it slide. But we'd like to have it all consistent, and that new template's been updated and it's been available for a while now. So not to, I'm not saying I'm not willing to do the extra work in my job. Of course I will, but you have the new template, so please use it. And then anything you see that needs to be updated as far as like where legislation goes, who it's getting sent to. Theoretically, you would have people there that aren't listed on that default list. And then if anything changes in that, as you're writing legislation, that is certainly your responsibility to make sure that that list is accurate. And I will try my best to update things as they go, but it takes some time to get things updated on our website. So just keep that in mind and let me know if there's things that need to change. And then we'll all work together to make that as accurate and clean as possible. We've had a rough week, couple of weeks, several weeks. I wanted to reiterate the organizational wellness. I'm going to send this around because it's been rough. The last thing I want to talk about is that we've had, in these rough couple of weeks, our campus has been severely impacted, and it feels like it's every week. So I want you all to take out your phone and put this number in it. This is our National Suicide Prevention Hotline. This year is when we experienced the greatest uptake of power-based violence. We're in a contentious election year. We've seen violence on campus going up that's not necessarily power-based. And so I want everyone to put this number in your phone. It's 1-800-273-8255. You can also dial 988. We need to be supporting each other. You know, the seasons are changing and everyone's experiencing burnout. We have a late fall break this year, and things just, it feels like it's one thing after another. So let's take care of each other and take care of ourselves because Rams take care of Rams. That's all I have today. Thank you.
I have things as well. Okay, first and foremost, hi, Mr. Taylor. Sorry I missed you. Secondly, strikes. Strikes have been given out. Strikes from this week and this previous week haven't been given out yet. A lot of people, or a good amount of people, have gotten their second strikes. Just to remind y'all about like basics of that process. Essentially, you're going to just have to meet with me and Graham, kind of explain why, and then we'll game plan from there. If you have any questions on strikes, the bylaws are available on Teams. I know I'm not there tonight, but Hayden, Madeline, anyone can really explain to you where they are. Additionally, if you're new, I didn't see if anyone new got ratified. If you haven't already got an email from me about onboarding, expect that tomorrow, and we'll schedule out those meetings and we'll be able to figure all that stuff out. It's pretty much all I've got.
Yeah, as Brooke said, meet with her and me. If I just talked to you all up, so you're going in that department. Yeah, okay, I don't have anything. Bye. Moving on now to committee and caucus reports. The chair for
Hello. We met last week, and we're gonna meet again this week. Super cool. Please show up. I would also love if someone would like to take over the social media for Women's Social Justice Caucus. That'd be pretty cool. I really don't want to do it. And I will bring stickers, maybe some candy. We'll have a nice little Halloween time on Monday. So please show up. I yield my time.
Thank you, Chair Davis.
Okay. Hi everybody. So House of Caucus, I think is going really well. We're getting the ball rolling. I feel really good. Last Friday we had Penny and the other two attorneys. So 3 people from Student Legal Services come in and they answered all of our questions that we had. It took literally an hour, but it was extremely helpful. If you were not there, and I say this every time, but I'm gonna do what Jakai does. I'm gonna say it 7 times. Also, I can't count. I'm gonna say it more than that. But if you want any sort of information from Housing Caucus, including like what we talked about on Friday, send me an email. If you don't have my email, come find me. But I will also be taking all of the questions that we had, as well as the responses we gave, and publishing them in a like legit format that we can send out. Hopefully, maybe I can send it out to the page, and that would be cool. But that will be available publicly. Probably, definitely, I'll have it done by Friday. It'll be available by the end of next week. So look out for that, so that you all have that information. I've also been working a lot on the affordability report with some people from Off-Campus Life and Food Security Advisory Council. So that is also up and running. We are going to have a finalized draft hopefully by Thanksgiving break so that it will be ready to be published before we all leave for the semester. So if you guys are looking for any sort of like leasing or looking, maybe someone is transferring like halfway through the semester, that information is available for them. Lastly, no, two more things. This Friday, we're going to discuss future steps for how we can support students within Prospect Plaza. I'm also working on a lot of stuff supporting students in residence halls. I know that hasn't been talked about a lot this semester, so I am working on that. I can't give a lot of information, I'm working on it. And finally, I did send out our flyer to Joseph, who's going to put it in the collegian. So you should read the collegian because you'll see it has a class flyer.
Thank you. Chairman Miller.
Okay. So last week we had like a really, really great turnout. Everyone in the world was there. It was really, really great to see. We made extensive edits to Resolution 5404. We also endorsed legislation. I'm assuming I'll talk about those edits specifically later. And I don't like to get cheesy on the mics. I've done it before. I'm doing it again. I think we had like an incredibly productive discussion regarding the resolution, and everyone was really, really nice and kind, and everyone came with really, really good ideas, and I really, really appreciate it. So everyone was there. You brought so much joy to not only the room, but also to me, and you all make me so happy and excited to do my job. Like on Thursdays at around 2 p.m., if you see me skipping my way to work, mind your business. I just came from committee. It reminds me why I joined ASCSU in the first place, so I just really wanted to make sure you all know the impact you all have on me. So thank you so much for next week, and I really hope that we can carry that kind of energy and attendance through future committee meetings. Tomorrow, 12:30, 1:30, be there. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Myers.
DEI committee met yesterday, as usual, from 1 to 2 in a conference room. We also had a super awesome meeting. We elected 2 leadership positions in our committee, which was awesome. We elected Senator Herrera to be our secretary, and then we elected Associate Senator Lucero to be our social media and outreach officer. So that was super awesome. We also had a really awesome conversation about Resolution 5405. I think that it gave a lot of people a lot of insight that they may not have had before, and not just me as the legislative author. But yeah, I think DEI committee is the best committee. Sorry, Fiona. But yeah, we had a great time, and come to committee and make a plan to vote. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Pickle.
Hello. This week, in the power vacuum of Chair Lex's absence, I have taken over as permanent chair of internal affairs. And we did not make super extensive edits, but we did add a couple whereas clauses and edited 2 of the therefore clauses within resolution 5404. Could you hear me? Was I talking into the microphone?
And for clarification, it's 5405. And I know that that's been confusing because everyone said 4 or 5. It's 5. Okay.
That one. Yeah, our committee meets from 3 to 4 on Mondays, and if you see us, Lex and I, dragging our feet on our way over from Warner, it's because we're going to committee, and we don't want you to come because we don't want to be there. That's not true. Please come to me.
Chair Snyder.
Hello, everyone. So So last week we had a real great meeting. We elected a social media and outreach officer, and we discussed bits and pieces of what we want to do next. We still need a vice chair, so if that interests you, please come to Accessibility Caucus in the lobby from 4 to 5 on Fridays. That is all.
Thank you. Moving on now to Senator and Associate Senator report. Senator Luna.
Hey, just a reminder from the SCCS one, the email I had. The deadline to schedule your final exams if you utilize the SCC's accommodation is November 4th at 4:45 or by 4:45, preferably before 4:45 p.m. And they won't schedule it if you try and do it at any other time after that. It's like if you don't do it before then, you're not going to be able to use the accessible testing center, which would be a real big bummer, especially with finals. So make sure you get that anyway.
Thank you. Chair Forsky, go ahead.
Okay, so I've got a few things. The first thing is we had our pedal project installation today. So we have a little sculpture in the back of our room that has little ceramic pedals for survivors. So make sure to go in and check it out. It's really beautiful. We also have trivia coming up next Friday. Right? It's the 29th. I believe that's a Friday. That's not a Friday. It's a Tuesday. Okay. So that next Tuesday, we will be having Halloween trivia in Ramstellar. So please, I would really love to see an ASCSU team. We can have teams up to 6. Let's get some senators together, and I would love to see you there. That would be super cool. It is still Relationship Violence Awareness Month, so please stop by, grab a purple ribbon, support our office, and honor also the lives that have been lost. I know I have someone in my life that has been lost to domestic violence, and it's really, really heartbreaking. So make sure to look out for your family and your friends, and help each other out. That being said, also coming up into this next weekend and the weekend after with homecoming and Halloween, lots of parties, lots of events, and that. I hope everyone has a ton of fun, but also keep yourself safe. We are going to put the VAT hotline again in the Teams. So if you need to access the services for whatever reason, if something happens to you or a friend of yours, it's also for secondary survivors. So please utilize those resources as they're available. And then finally, also I want to talk about how costumes are also not consent. This is for everyone in the room, everyone listening, anyone watching this. It does not matter how much clothing or how little clothing someone is wearing. That does not equal consent. Don't touch someone without asking first, and respect whatever they say to you. And that also includes, please do not be respectful with what your costumes are. Rethink if you're going to represent a culture of some sort. That is not a very appropriate time to do that. And please look up also the harm that can do. I feel like we should be able to find that presentation that was given last year by members from APAC, which is really, really quite incredible. So hopefully we can get that out there. Just be mindful of your costumes. We don't want to create any unintentional harm. I'm done yapping now. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Bouchard.
Thanks, Senator for 8 So next,
So our next event is we have a craft night tomorrow night from 4 to 6 in the APAC office. And then on Friday, we're having a coffee corner from 3 to 5, also in the office. And then next week, we have story time, which is a discussion circle. And then we have Try to Understand, where we'll be talking about Filipino heritage / scary stories on Tuesday. And then on Halloween, there's the Diwali celebration from 6 to 8. It's at Oak Street Plaza. If any of you guys are interested in any of these events, you guys should join us at these events. Thank you for my time.
Thank you. Senator Pickle.
I just wanted to plug one more thing, kind of in the vein of phone numbers you could call. There are the hotlines, and a lot of times hotlines have to do with emergencies. There's also warm lines, and warm lines aren't necessarily, they don't necessitate that you are in crisis or you have an emergency. You can just call and talk if you're having a hard time. They're great. We have one in Colorado. If you go to warmline.org, you can find a listing of them. There are ones for in-state. Some states take them for out of state. So, yeah.
Thank you. The Senate will now go ahead.
I would just like to remind everyone too, concerning a lot of parties that happen, typically around Thanksgiving, or geez, I almost said Thanksgiving. Long day. Surrounding Halloween. Just remember that we as students, especially as student leaders, have an obligation to watch out for the well-being of our fellow students that we represent. I just want to remind everyone that Colorado has Good Samaritan laws in place that essentially protect you from, I'm an EMT. I know several other EMTs, and a big problem that is faced by a lot of first responders is that people get too afraid to call 911 because they believe that they will get in trouble if someone might be underage, or there might be at a party where underage drinking or substance consumption is going on, and they don't want to get in trouble for that. But the Good Samaritan law essentially kind of absolves you of being able to get in trouble if you are calling to essentially if you're calling 911 to save someone that is in a potential crisis for potential overdose, alcohol poisoning, stuff like that. So just remind your friends, family, anyone that you might be around at parties that it is absolutely always in everyone's best interest to call 911 if you do see an emergency. And yeah, so just don't forget about that, and I yield.
Thank you. The Senate will now move into conference business with 2 hours on the conference clock, beginning with old business and resolution 5405.
I meant to say this in my report, and I shouldn't have to say this, but I'm going to. We're going to talk about some heavy stuff today, and so we're going to need to still maintain a level of decorum. We can't be the representatives that we want to be for students if we can't respect one another. So, first warning, just right out the gate. You want this one?
I can
Okay. So we have resolution 5405, formal condemnation of blackface on Colorado State University's campus. This legislation aims to condemn acts of violent racism of all kind on CSU's campus, specifically those perpetrated by Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity, as well as a call upon fraternity and sorority life leadership and CSU administration to take comprehensive action to reduce acts of bias of all kinds on campus. And then you're okay with me reading edits? Okay. This was sent out and all the committees made edits after it was sent. So we're reading out all of the edits in full. We've added endorsements. Haley Yankowski, Senator for Warner College and Natural Resources. Diana Herrera, Senator for Academic Advancement Center. Vladimir Laura Pardo, Senator for the Academic Advancement Center. I am so sorry. Odith Tomas Sarat, Senator for College of Liberal Arts. Did I say that right? Anybody know? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Madeline Cameron, parliamentarian of ASCSU. Yasmin Rivera, Senator for El Centro. Jared McLaughlin, Senator for College of Engineering. The University Affairs Committee, DEI Affairs Committee. Olivia Frisky, Senator for Survivor Advocacy and Feminist Education Center, and Chair of the Women's and Social Justice Caucus. The first edit here takes the word bill and changes it to the word legislation, as I just read aloud, and a capitalization change. We have the semicolon and added to the first whereas clause. The second whereas clause has the edit to add the word allegedly, so that it reads, on Thursday, September 5th, 2024, the Lambda Chi fraternity posted a recruitment banner outside their chapter house, allegedly depicting Uncle Sam with blackface. And the semicolon and. That a similar change is reflected in the next whereas clause. It reads, according to the collegian, it was alleged that a CSU student was subject to the use of violent racial slurs when taking photo evidence of the banner, semicolon and. These are completely new whereas clauses added. Whereas it was recorded and publicly shared that members of said fraternity threatened to lie to the police as a form of retribution to the student recording from the sidewalk, semicolon and. Whereas the things mentioned in the two previous whereas clauses can subjectively be interpreted as discriminatory harassment, and whereas the Student Code of Conduct defines discriminatory harassment and or violence as threats, intimidation, coercion, bodily harm, or otherwise unwelcome behavior through any method of communication directed at an individual or individuals on the basis of sex, gender identity, gender expression, veteran status, genetic information, race, creed, color, national origin or ancestry, sexuality, age, religion, pregnancy, or disability that is so severe, persistent, or pervasive, such that it has the purpose or effect of unreasonably interfering with a person's academic work or work performance, or a person's ability to participate in or benefit from the university's programs, services, opportunities, or activities when viewed through both an objective and subjective standard. And whereas, while the intent of the banner was not to display blackface, regardless of that fact, racial violence and harm to the community was the result. And whereas.
Could you please zoom in a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you.
Whereas the Rocky Mountain Student Media Corporation reported, quote, breaking news of Lambda Chi's banner before speaking with both parties or doing an investigation, and whereas harm could have been mitigated but instead was amplified to harm more individuals who initially encountered the banner, to harm hundreds if not thousands of students, and whereas due to the unethical journalism exhibited by the Rocky Mountain Student Media Corporation, every party heretofore mentioned was harmed. And the next whereas clause has the semicolon and just a formatting edit. Whereas in the previously mentioned conversation with FSL leadership, they stated that they have, quote, too many students to require them all to attend DEI trainings. Despite this statement, some organizations already require DEI trainings. And we have the couple more ands to our whereas clauses just to make the formatting consistent. Whereas, for the purpose of this resolution, DEI trainings can encompass, but are not limited to, topics such as racism, bias awareness, social identities, colorism, misogyny, homophobia, xenophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, intersectionality, ableism, microaggressions, empathetic listening, communicating across difference, classism, power-based violence, bystander intervention, active allyship, white supremacy, equity versus equality, and conflict resolution. And the therefore clause had, I believe they've all been changed to now read, be it hereby resolved rather than enacted because this is a resolution. ASCSU Senate calls upon Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity and impacted community members to seek the resources of the Student Resolution Center to hold a restorative justice event to address harm caused. And it is, or excuse me, therefore it hereby be resolved that regardless of intent, harm was inflicted on the CSU community, specifically to students of color by Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity's actions, depictions of Uncle Sam in blackface, and that a more substantial response from the organization and FSL leadership is required. And therefore be it hereby resolved that FSL work with the university to update and increase their DEI training requirements for their members. Furthermore, that the effectiveness of these trainings is tracked by FSL and informs future DEI initiatives. And therefore be it hereby resolved that President Amy Parsons calls for the formation of a presidential task force to investigate all FSL organizations on campus for past, present, and potential incidents of bias, as these organizations far too often perpetrate violent racism, homophobia, xenophobia, misogyny, and ableism. And therefore be it hereby resolved that a report be created by the Office of the President, be presented to the Senate with a timeline on the creation of the task force, as well as a plan on how Amy Parsons will personally ensure a significant reduction in bias-based incidents perpetrated by students and registered student organizations at Colorado State University. Furthermore, that CSU administration organize office hours, a hotline, or a feedback form in order to hear from students who were harmed by this and or increase funding and support for existing resources such as the bias reporting line and Tell Someone. And we see the resolved versus enacted edit made, and I believe that is all the edits that were made.
Does the author accept these edits?
Yes, and I would just like to say thank you so much for everyone who came to committee and like made edits. This is like my vision for this bill. Like I want all of us to collaborate on it. Everyone to like have their point of view heard. So just like thank you so much.
Then we'll begin 10 minutes of discussion and debate with the vote for the blocker. Beginning with Senator Rosie Adamati.
Thank you. If you guys don't know me, I am Senator Ziamati. I'm the senator from the College of Business. So, yeah, I'm by frat people every day, including a lot of Lambda brothers. And knowing them, I just feel like it's important for me to say this. So please hear me out. The bill we're discussing accuses Lambda Chi of blackface and asks for a greater response to their actions. First, let's define blackface. Merriam-Webster defines a noun as dark makeup worn to mimic the appearance of a black person, and especially to mock or ridicule black people. A note under the definition reads, the wearing of blackface by white performers was, from the early 19th to the mid-20th century, a prominent feature of minstrel shows and similar forms of entertainment featuring exaggerated and inaccurate caricatures of black people. Drawn from the definition in the note below it, blackface ridicules black people, and if we want to maintain a warm and welcoming community, we ought to condemn blackface wherever we see it. However, parts of this definition do not fit Lambda Chi's action. The main issue, which may be extrapolation on my part, is that the definition seems to describe a living person with a fixed racial identity wearing makeup, which no Lambda Chi member did. The action in question was flying a banner of a black Uncle Sam, which the fraternity claimed was darkened from its intended pale tone by the rain. Thus, what we have, if we take Lambda at their word, is a banner of a traditionally white character transformed into a black version of the same character without any racist caricatures, unless you consider darkening of the skin racist caricature, but this, well, not a person's skin, sorry, a character's skin, a racial caricature. I apologize if it's presumptuous, and I don't mean that harm didn't happen. I'm sure it did, but when context is included, this doesn't seem very harmful. And I think that the bill actually gives to this at several points when it talks about how these the reporting actually ended up harming more people as well, maybe hundreds of thousands of students. So I agree with that. But I also do not believe that depicting a Uncle Sam as black is inherently racist, and some people actually agree with me. Former Clinton staffer Eric Liu, to be exact, this is a progressive, in his article for The Atlantic, The Case for an Asian Santa and, wait for it, a Black Uncle Sam, Liu makes the case for rotating the race of Uncle Sam on a yearly basis in order to further the following idea. When we decentralize the power of a symbol and trust people to make it their own, the symbol becomes much more resonant. That's especially true in a nation like ours that really has only ideas and icons, not blood, not tribe, to hold us together. How progressive of him. He continues to explain, our armed service recruiters could call Uncle Sam back into active duty and make him Asian one year, African American the next, white, Latino, native Latino, or he says Latino, we could say Latinx if we want to be inclusive, in a random rotation. This passionate and inclusive defense of a Black Uncle Sam makes it clear that such a symbol, to me at least, is not inherently problematic, even if the intention behind it can make it so. However, I do understand that this bill claims that people were hurt by it. Emotional harm is personal, and I do not intend to accuse people of playing victim when it's impossible for me to fully understand their emotions. With that made clear, to my understanding, the most harmful part of this incident, other than any harassment faced directly by the CSU student mentioned in the bill, was precisely the fact that Black students did not know whether Lambda Chi harbored hatred toward them or not, which is an unfortunate situation to be in. But hopefully, most of that sadness and fear was alleviated when more facts were revealed. Still, the feeling that students had when they wondered if we had a racist fraternity on campus, while impossible to cure, is not irrelevant. Which leads us to the central issue. How can ASCSU prevent harm from happening in the first place? In the case of the banner, I don't think you can. If what Lambda Chi claims is true, and they truly didn't intend to make their depiction of Uncle Sam black, then the event was likely unforeseeable, and at least mostly unpreventable. We cannot stop accidents from happening on occasion. Should Lambda pay a bit more attention to the appearance of their banners after it rains? Sure, but they probably thought they weren't harming anybody, which I do think is important. I really do. What we can do is apologize and reconcile when we make these mistakes, which is what happened. Lambda Chi issued an apology and reconciled with the person who photographed the banner. This is more necessary than any kind of intervention by us or Andy Parsons, because what investigations cannot do and what training cannot do very well is make people from different backgrounds engage with each other and come to an understanding. Conversations like that strengthen our community in a way that can't be replicated by any government action. While trainings feel impersonal, a conversation brings you face to face with a person who possesses unique feelings and beliefs. While an investigation would make people involved in fraternities feel threatened and might foster resentment, conversations discourage discord and encourage cordial discussions about the realities of a situation. In conclusion, I think ASCSU should move forward. If it is the university's or FSL's judgment that Lambda did not break any rules with the banner, then I think we should accept their expertise. It is not my opinion that the resolution of this conflict was poorly handled. On the contrary, I believe it was productive. For these reasons, I will not be voting for this bill. Thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Sandoval.
First of all, I would like to point out that Dwayne is no longer the director of the back office, so that needs to be fixed in the legislation. Second thing, my mother told me that if I don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, so I yield my time.
Chairperson, go ahead.
I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet. So first of all, as a white person, I don't get to define what blackface is. If the black community is saying it's blackface, it's blackface. They're the experts on it. You should probably listen. Also, the definition of blackface has developed over the years. If you go back, there are a lot of racist depictions and blackface in cartoons. So therefore, it's not just a physical thing. So there is a misconception there, just a little bit. I want to point out the bill does say allegedly. It says allegedly this happened. An event did occur. This happened.
We can't erase that from the history. And even if an accident did happen, there's still harm. A lot of us have do accidental things where we are harming other people and we don't realize it. And what we do is we apologize. And while there was an apology up on Instagram, I would like to point out that it is no longer there. Lambda Chi deleted the apology, so there is no evidence of it other than in a collegiate article, which is also a little confusing how that's worded in there. I'd also like to say that I don't want to put the burden of having these conversations with the fraternities on the Black community. I don't think that's fair, and that I do think that conversations are very important to have and that they're very effective, but also who's going to be having those conversations? I think this is one way that we can start those conversations in a way that the university can take care of and not the Black community. How far is Enoch on the list for the speakers list?
1 minute and 20 seconds.
He's next on the list.
Okay. I yield my time.
Thank you. Senator Monti.
In the wise words of Senator Sandoval, thank you, mother, I will, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it, so I will keep that in mind as I speak. You represent these students. You do. That's not a question. That's not undeniable. That is definitive fact. There are Black students here in every college, in every center. There are students there in each and every one of them. And every single one of them, if they were to see that, would be heard. They want action. This university and institution has said they are doing something, but from what we've seen as a community, it's stopped really at, hey, they said sorry. And historically, it's always been, you say sorry, and we're expected to move on from it and not really do anything further about it. And that sucks. It truly does. It's like telling us to get over something that deeply impacts us and then completely doing it like a year later and whatnot. Not really learning.
That is the time on discussion and debate. I would entertain a motion. Chair for speaker.
I motion for 10 minutes to extend the discussion and debate by 10 minutes.
I second.
Second. Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, discussion and debate will be extended by 10 minutes.
So I was at like the year analogy. So yeah, it's like asking us to forget about it and get over it, and it's tiring. We're upset, and honestly, when this event first came out, I can't say I was surprised. I was disappointed. I was upset, but I wasn't surprised. And with the response that has been done so far, that has happened so far, I'm not surprised. It's happened time and time again, and it's just something happening because we aren't expecting our institutions to do better. We are not holding them accountable. We're not telling them to be better, and it sucks. It's tiring. It's draining, and it honestly makes us not want to come here because we don't feel welcome. We as an institution say that we are a diverse, equitable, and inclusive space. But if we're not doing anything for those populations, for those students who are impacted by these types of events, actually following through, having an actual accountability, we're just talk. And talk with no action is just manipulation. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Chair Davis.
Honestly, Enoch covered most of it. I think that the main thing that was missed was like that it's regardless of intent, like it still happened. It still hurt people, and that is our job, is to know what happens on this campus and to do what's right around that. And our job is to not hurt people. And so I'll yield my time because it was very well said.
Thank you. Senator Laura McCarthy.
It's exhausting as a person of color to be put in this position again of let's educate white individuals. Let's explain why this is wrong. Let's explain why this hurt our feelings. Let's explain X, Y, and Z. It's exhausting. This is emotionally taxing for people of color, constantly having to try and educate people. And we're opening the door in order to have that education happen, not only at at an FSL level, but also at a larger level. We're educating people at a further level, allowing for people of color to not fall into educating other people. It's exhausting, it's tiring, it's truly something that, as Enoch mentioned, it's manipulation and it's exhausting.
And do you yield?
Yeah.
Thank you. Senator Falba.
Quite really said. Senator Benanti really hit it on the head. I suppose mine is more of a definitional thing. I hear the difference between conversation and broader enforcement. However, restorative justice events, the impacted community members coming together, that is the conversation. I would say if Landakai really is truly willing to do it, they would engage actively in restorative justice events. This could consider an opportunity. I respect the obvious care and research that was into your response. However, I would also like to say it's not just blackface. Blackface is a huge part of it, but it's the response. It's the threatening to call the police. It's the variety of threats and the fallout from it, the response that has truly made it evil, more evil, I should say, because it's evil overall. And from it, I would say you see it, you address it, you fix it, and you carry it with you and you move on.
I realize that we read these edits out loud. I just put in the Teams a post with this document as it has been edited, available in the Teams if anyone wants to view it.
Thank you. Senator Herrera.
I respect what everyone is saying. I do, because that is the nature of where we are. So I hope you all will consider what I'm saying, and that is that if we do not move forward with passing Resolution 5405, then we are allowing for CSU to be a space that allows things like blackface and worse. We are allowing for our students of color to fear for their safety if we do not move forward with passing 5405. I think regardless of intent, specifically regarding Lambda Chi's intent, the impact is undeniable. Students of color on campus were hurt. Students of color on campus feared for their safety. And yeah, I don't think that's okay. I don't think that if white students on campus, if they were fearing for their safety, I don't think CSU would be even debating such a thing like a resolution that was simply asking for education. We're not saying that this fraternity is wrong. We're not saying that they need to be punished. We're not saying any of that. We're just saying that we want to educate them. And echoing other senators, people of color always have to take on this responsibility of educating others. I know.
Thank you. Senator Cole Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Since I know we're still in a period of discussion and debate, is it okay if I ask the author of the bill just a
point of information.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just genuinely curious about that. Do you know if FSL or IFC has conducted a formal investigation about what happened?
They have not, and FSL leadership told me that.
Okay, that was what I was curious about. I am a member of a fraternity on campus, very proudly, I might add, and I at one point served as the vice president of risk management for my fraternity. Situations such as this go against everything that fraternities on campus stand for in their founding, and I stand by that. And it is my opinion, as a member of a fraternity on campus, that more accountability, not less, is the solution to things that happen here. My dad has always said that the truth speaks for itself. The fact that a formal investigation has not been conducted by FSL or IFC is a bit alarming to me. And while I think that both sides have made some valid points as to the nature of it, whether it was a mistake or not, I think still deserves full attention. And, you know, mediations as a result of the outcome of a formal investigation are outside my hands, outside most of our hands, but I do think that they absolutely need to happen, and I think that it's very important that we hold fraternities and the organizations responsible for governing fraternities and sororities on campus are kind of forced to show their hand in this and to be involved. So, thank you. I yield my time.
Thank you, Chairman Miller.
The events that led to this resolution, well, may maliciously had a great impact, and we had a discussion in APEC staff meetings about this, and I got the sense from those meetings that it was an event that just had caused students of color to feel unsafe. And personally, on a personal level, I mean, walking onto this campus as a freshman, I was absolutely terrified. I'm from just outside of DC, which was one of the most diverse places in the US. And I was even scared to commit here just because of the lack of diversity within Colorado and Colorado State. So I'm sure I share this experience with a lot of students of color, and the events that triggered the writing of this resolution aren't helping students of color feel any safer. And yeah, and I think also within the ASCSU space, I think that there was just incredible collaboration on this piece of legislation, and I think we've been productive in such a great way that I haven't really seen us do within the Senate. And I don't know, I'm really, really happy that so many of us are passionate about taking action on this topic, and that's why I really support this resolution. Thank you. I yield.
Motion for 10 more minutes on the clock.
Does that motion have a second? Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go once again extend the discussion and debate time by 10 minutes. And did you yield? Thank you. Chief of Staff, Murphy.
Hi, friends. As we talk about this now, I want to thank you for your time, first of all. Second, I want to say that it's deep and it's a lot we're talking about. What we're talking about is significant. And I have a few things just covered tonight and some points maybe redundant or things that people have already covered. And so I want to say thank you if you hear me say anything that sounds like something you said. I'm right there with you and we're rowing in the same boat. On the note of blackface, I want to say that this institution has a deep history with blackface, and that this is not the first time that an incident involving blackface has occurred at CSU's campus. It's not the second time, it's not the third time. I think this might be the fourth time that this has happened. And so when we talk about this, I say that I endorse this resolution because it's a matter of this institution lacking cultural competency. And that is the conversation that needs to be had. And so when we talk about these things, I'd first like to start off as we talk about definitions of what blackface is. I'd like to also talk about the deep-rooted history, and that is that blackface started with maybe minstrel shows and when black people could not perform in the 19th century. And so white performers would darken their skin and exaggerate their features to look like what they believe the stereotypical black person looks like. And so it's deeply offensive to be painted as ignorant or lazy or cowardly or hypersexual. And so when we see this in any sense in the modern day, it's disheartening and it's blatantly disrespectful to say the least. And we'll start there. I want to say that as I'm going through the bill and as we talk about it tonight, and as I bring up cultural competency, I see problem in us playing, not us, I'm not putting it on us, but I'm saying in general, the blame game and saying that Rocky Mountain Students Media is at fault for causing mass harm, when in fact reporting about a lacking of cultural competency is not on them from my point of view. I think that when we talk about students reporting about how students feel and saying, hey, I noticed this injustice happened, I'm not going to fault them for that. And so when we talk about the liability that Rocky Mountain Student News Media has in this, it's give or take and it's subjective. It's subjective to your perspective, which I respect. But I do want to note that we cannot say that it's their fault and they caused most of this impact, when in fact, it's not them. But we're going to start there. I would like to say that I am aware that conversations and updates have been had with FSL, and so I don't know exactly where that is, but I implore authors and people who are supportive of this legislation to go back and inquire about those questions that have been asked and those updates that are coming through FSL through their leadership and Lambda Chi. Moving on, I would like to say that diversity, equity, and inclusion is under attack right now in this America that we live in. So as we're talking about it today, and when we talk about ignoring the matter or ASCSU just moving on because the university decides something, is always going to come back to a lacking of cultural competency that we don't have. And what I would like to say is that even if the university decides one thing, as a leader, if you know that something is not the way that it's being represented, you as a leader have the power and the control to take agency and say, hey, I'm going to be the one to do something about this. I'm going to be the one to start the domino effect of change to say, I want to be cultural competency. I want to be culturally competent. And I'm going to take that back to my spaces so other people know about blackface, the deep histories and what it means, or they know about different slurs that are used and they know the history and what it means and why we don't do that, because that's cultural competency and it's also leadership. We're going to keep going though. When we talk about knowing Lambda Chi or our personal connections to FSL or Greek life in any sense, that is perfectly fine, I don't think that's a bad thing. In fact, one of my first conversations with Mitchell about this bill was not condemning Lambda Chi as an organization, because as an organization they should still function, and it doesn't mean they are inherently bad for having this occur or for whatever the perception of this event is, right? It doesn't mean they're inherently bad. It just means that something happened that we are now talking about. And so I'm not saying that you should not have these deep relationships with these organizations or that you shouldn't be a part of it. In fact, I'm informed you go get involved, right? Because if you're a change maker in this space, you can also be one in that space. And you don't have to just exist in one as one thing and not one in the others. Okay. So I'd also like to talk about intent versus impact. And as though we know and exist in these organizations, the intent and impact have been noted a lot tonight. And I want to say that intent, as we talk about however Rocky Mountain Students Media presented it or how it's been brought to you or how you perceive it, the intent and the impact of these incidents are real and they're there. Regardless if you heard it from Rocky Mountain Students Media or if you're friends with somebody in Lambda Chi, it's real and it's present and it's there. And so you can't ignore that impact. And I think that's noted, especially, well, we'll get there. But first, I want to go through a few definitions because I like defining things. Microaggressions is my first definition of that. And so I want to say that from actually I believe it's Oxford, but microaggression is a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic minority. I don't want to say this is blatantly a microaggression, but it can fit the mold. It can fit the mold. I'll go on to my next definition is ignorance, is the lack of knowledge or information. And so I implore you to not be ignorant about what's happening to your peers or your colleagues or your friends or your in this space who exists, right? Like when incidents happen, I have to question where I belong on campus or what my safety is, right? And so it's not a one-off. Those are my first. We can go into the whole Uncle Sam thing, but maybe not tonight. We probably don't have enough time on the confidence clock for that because that requires a history class. And so I'll move on and say that when we say things that are based on what the university decides and how we should act accordingly, it sounds great, but it's a contradiction with saying that we as leaders should follow suit of what the university does and then also simultaneously acknowledge impact. If we're going to acknowledge impact and the implications of such incidents that happen, how are we going to create change from that if we're moving on? So I implore us to sit on that in this space, and if anybody has an answer, I would love to know because I think it's a valid question. And so I really do implore you to think about how we should coincide and recognize the university's decisions, and then also simultaneously ignore said impact. I don't know, it's something to it that I'm not wrapping my head around. Last week when the bill was originally brought up, this is one of my last points, I have two last points, the topic of being fair was brought up as well. So I want to implore the space to visit what's fair and what that means and what is it like to be marginalized and never understood? Is that fair? And so that's one. And then my last point is to my good friend Micah. I too am a student of the College of Business. And so as I hear you talk tonight, I implore you to revisit your talking points and ask if you're representing your whole constituency. I too am a student of the College of Business, and I didn't hear anything about students who look like me or may have the same opinion as me reflected in those statements. Tonight, my statements are reflective of the whole audience, that there is updates from FSL that can be included in this that we may not be privy to right now. It is also acknowledging that there is real impact and harm that was done on our campus. And it also acknowledges that there is a cultural competency lacking. And my last ask is that as leaders, I implore you to visit the spaces that you're in and make them culturally competent if they're not, because you have the power to be and you have the resources to be. I don't know if I have to yield, but whoever is next, I'll say that I yield and follow your consistency. So thank you.
We have a lively discussion and debate about it.
Moving on now to Senator Melchior.
I do want to briefly touch on Uncle Sam as an image, as a character, if you will. To say that Uncle Sam is a sort of all-American, wholesome image is incredibly naive. This is an image that's been used in countless cartoons, the political nature of the entire 1900s, to represent United States imperialism and colonialism, a phenomenon which is inherently tied to the explicitly racist idea of the white man's burden. Also, to say that it's as simple as just changing the racial depiction of Uncle Sam every year for military recruitment ignores that the primary time that Uncle Sam was used for military recruitment was when the United States military was still racially segregated.
So that's on Q&A, on discussion and debate. So I'm motion to add 10 minutes. So
we unfortunately have to meet the maximum of the discussion and debate.
Senator Minatu.
I'm going to explain this motion real fast before I make it. I think it's very important to have these discussions and fully have them talked out and spoken. So that is why I motion to suspend the part of the bylaws that dictates the limits on discussion and debate.
Yeah, so that section of the bylaws, just so that anybody looking at that can look at that if you want to. That's Article 7 of the bylaws, Section 4, which is time limits in Senate. Subsection A, subsection B is that. So that is the motion. Does that motion have a second? Do I see any dissent to that motion? Okay, seeing none, that section of the bylaws has been suspended. And we can go back to Senator Melchior if you want to continue.
I yield randomly.
Okay, thank you. Senator Johnson.
Hi, y'all. I noticed when we were looking at the like very last therefore clause about where you were going to be sending things. We didn't. I mean, this is completely like I also looked at this and didn't pick it up when I looked at it. We're not sending it to FSL or Lambda Chi, so can I motion to add the contact of like FSL leadership and Lambda Chi leadership? I don't know the names off the top of my head, but does somebody know?
I can just note that, and then when this is finalized, get it where it needs to go. But I'm gonna put that notation here, so it's not exactly how it would read if that appeases our like administrative needs.
To me, that's fine. And then the last thing that I want to say is that I think this resolution is really great, and I hope it prompts us to find places that we as ASCSU can take action and holding people accountable, so that we can actually track it, so that we're not relying on other organizations to track DEI. I think if we want to see that happening, we should be able to track it. So I'm excited about this, and I hope this prompts more movement and taking action steps as ASCSU to hold our clubs and organizations accountable, not just within FSL but outside as well. I yield.
Thank you. Senator Bouchard.
Hi, I think this resolution is very important because I think it's important because we are condemning blackface. We're not saying we're condemning Greek life. And I think that's the important part about this resolution is we're saying that it's not okay to showcase any acts of racism, and in this case, blackface. And I think it's really important that that's what we're focusing on when we look at this resolution. And I think that's what we all have been doing tonight. And I have loved what everybody has said. I have two things. Am I still able to endorse this bill? I mean resolution? Perfect, thank you. And then for the who it's sent to, Joanne Cornell is no longer the director of APEX, if we can alter that. I can tell you.
Okay, check the current, this is what I meant when I said this in my report. We have had an updated version up for several weeks now, and I understand that this was started maybe before or around the time that was out. It has been noted the titles have changed. So I empower and implore all of you in committee to make those edits while you have editing power to make my life easier. And then I think if you will double check the new version that's on our ASCSU documents tab, the most updated template, if that is inaccurate.
It's not accurate on the template right now.
You did, okay. Okay, send me a message so we can get it updated.
And then I can use my time.
Thank you. Senator Lee.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous, so sorry if that's like evident in my voice, but I think it's important to recognize the weight of this resolution, disregarding the intent of the fraternity, because clearly that's up for debate, has a range of opinions. Regardless of the different points of view, it stands to this day that people of color constantly feel on edge and alert. It seems to me that this resolution is attempting to help take the weight off our shoulders so that we may walk a little lighter. Due to an event that has hurt a multitude of people, whether they are a PFC or not. All I ask is that you offer understanding, and if that is not afforded or able to be afforded, I ask that you listen to the discussion itself and recognize that it's exhausting but necessary, and please look for further education or about what we've talked about today.
And finishing off with Senator Sandoval.
Hey y'all, I'm back. So I would first of all like to thank all of my fellow senators, people of color who have spoken up and said how they're feeling about this not being a safe campus for us. And unfortunately, that is our reality. It's not a perceived threat, it's not a alleged threat, it's not taken out of context. It is an actual threat that we as students of color have to deal with every single day that we are on campus. We are tired. It has been said many times that it is not our job to educate white students on what is hurtful and what is impactful and why black, like, it should be common knowledge why blackface is not good. But it, unfortunately, that's not the case. But it's not our jobs to educate y'all. It is your job to do your research, to look into it. And yeah, if you have questions, I can't speak for all of my fellow senators, but for me personally, if you have questions about what it means to be Black, about the stuff that I go through on a daily basis, please ask. I am more than happy to have a conversation with you. People who are close to me, some of those people are in that room right now, know that they can come to me and say, hey, Elijah, I'm not sure how to ask this. It might sound bad, but I really want to know. And I will have a conversation with you. The fact that we spent this long, y'all, it's 8:15. The fact that we spent this long talking about this one piece of legislation should tell you just how important it is for this to be heard, for this to be addressed. The fact that most of the people that spoke up were people of color saying that they do not feel comfortable on campus and that they love the fact that we are coming together as an organization to make this campus just a little bit safer, that should tell you just how important this is. So, with that being said, I yield, but also I would like to add my name onto the endorse section, if you please. Thank you.
Point of personal privilege, is it possible to send around like a piece of paper so that we can add maybe one of
Yeah. Do you have the?
I don't use paper anymore.
Can we put on the piece of paper that it is for this particular bill or resolution? Because I found a few in the office and I was like, I hope I added all these names to the correct piece of legislation. I think we did, so no worries there.
Yeah, we'll get that going now. And with that, that was the last point of discussion that we had. So we'll move into voting on this, which, according to the bylaws, is supposed to be a roll call vote. But I would entertain a motion to do it with something else if you all want to.
Can I motion to do secret ballot?
Yeah, you may. Does that motion have a second?
Second.
Okay. I'm going to quickly explain what that means because I know that we have a lot of new folks in the Senate today who maybe have not done that. We have a few methods of voting that we can do on legislation. One of those is what's called a roll call vote, which is basically we do like we did attendance in the beginning and call out the names of all of the senators, and then you say yes, no, or abstain. We also have a placard vote, which is when we just have people who want to vote yes put their placards up and we count them, and same with no and abstention. We also have a secret ballot vote in which we will pass out little pieces of paper and then people can write down the vote that you have on this, yes, no, or abstain, and I can explain that when we get to that. So that's what that motion is, and that motion did have a second, yes. Then we will do a voice vote on that motion. So all those in favor of doing this vote by a secret ballot vote, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? And I'm going to call the division on that one. Yeah. So we'll do this by a placard vote then. So all those in favor of doing this vote on the legislation by a secret ballot vote, please raise your placard.
Let's check online really fast, see what that. changes, anything?
And those opposed? You can put those down. And any abstentions?
Hold on, really quick. Just author get to vote.
Yeah, you're senator. Yes, you. What do you vote?
You're
Yes. Okay.
for secret ballot.
No for secret ballot.
Okay.
Sorry. I was confused about what you were asking.
So
And keep those up now.
for abstentions.
Yeah, on abstentions. Thank you. Then with a vote of 413 to 9, this motion fails. So with that, the default is still a roll call vote. So unless we have a motion, we can just go ahead and do it.
Point of information, since Chair Myers, since you are the author of this bill, will you need one of the associates to vote in your stead, or will you be allowed to vote on this piece of legislation?
Let me just double check.
We'll double check that. I think that the author was allowed to vote.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
If I stayed in physics, it's been easier.
For fuck's sake. Give myself a second.
I would.
Someone should make a motion. Yeah. Have this downloaded. Why does my brain function stop when we're in the middle of a session? Oh, I have this meeting in front of me.
For a 5-minute recess while we set up
Can I make a motion instead to vote by placard? Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm able to. Yeah, but can we do
that?
Yeah, you may make that motion. Okay. Then all those in favor of doing the vote on the passage of this legislation by a placard vote, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Okay, good. We'll do this by a placard vote then.
We could still use the recess to make sure that.
We don't have
Okay, then all those in favor of passing this legislation, please raise your flag. Okay. And only senators can vote on this, by the way. Associate senators may not vote.
Keep them up. Wait, hold on, you interrupted me. Yeah. Yeah.
You can put this down. Then those opposed? And any abstentions?
me just double check here. Yeah.
Thank you. There was about 24 to 1 to 1. 24, excuse me. 24 to 1 to 1. This resolution passes. And with that, the Senate will now move into new business with Bill 5406.
It's kind of freeze. Yeah, we don't even.
If I read through it, it's like a presentation of our lives.
Yes, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Should I pause this first? I'm gonna pull this. Okay. Natural thing. This is why. Okay.
Okay, let me pull it back up because I don't think I'm on it. I don't need that. How nice is it?
Okay, hi friends. I'm back. So actually, the bill of new business is mine. So I know you're tired of me tonight. I'll join the Senate next week and become like a senator or something. I don't know if I can do that, but at this point, I might as well, right? So anyway, Bill 50, 5406. 5406. To preface this, it's going to preface this, it's going to be pulled because I didn't realize that the executive branch can create their own bylaws and just come and present them to Senate. And so I re-amended our bylaws that have not been amended since 2016 for tonight. And so I'm also just going to read through this tonight with you all, and this is going to be like our presentation of our bylaws, so you know what's happening in the executive branch, and then we'll be all good. It's going to be a-okay. So this is going to be our presentation, and then I'm going to pull it. So hey, less work. It's not going to go through all those committees, and you won't have to do as much reading. It's going to be great. It's one of those win-win type of things. Again, so whenever we're ready, I can.
And it is this last therefore clause.
Yes.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, so to the executive code of conduct, we are amending. There was a few amendments in like some of the therefore clauses earlier as well. Like it's just about our cabinet meetings. So originally the cabinet meetings were up to the president to cancel. That now lies within my scope. So yeah, cabinet meetings. If we go down. Wait, so if we go to, so I copied it. Can you go down a little bit?
Sure. I was just going through every time the cabinet's mentioned.
Okay, yeah. Because there's going to be a break in here because I just copied it twice. Because there's one part, like I just did the old one and then the new one. So everything after this should be like here.
This is all new. You want the new one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I was there.
Okay, yeah. So this is all the new stuff. And it's not really new. It's our current bylaws with like minimal adaptations plus our executive code of conduct. I'm going to go through that. So, let's go. Perfect. Okay. So this is where it begins. It's our.
It says 2015, 2016.
Yep, it's supposed to say 20. Yep, it's
Okay.
supposed to not say that. Okay. So it updates our GPA requirements, all the things. I think that was a mistake that I made, but I think it was supposed
Hold on,
to say
because it
20.
says it again over here. That is this the new?
Yep. So this is.
Oh, I see.
So the
I
one
see.
at the top
That's
is
a
supposed
whole.
to say 20.
Gotcha.
Yep. That was my mistake. So this is our.
No. What do you feel like presenting? What's the new changes?
I'm going to present to you the main change, and it's that the executive staff is now adhering to a new amendment in our bylaws, and it's the executive code of conduct. It's at the bottom. I'm going to read these to you. This is like that at the very bottom, that one part that we were just at. But this is basically a code of conduct that we all came up with and we're all going to adhere to these things. And so this is important. I mean, we all work in this space as colleagues of some sort and collaborate in one shape or form. So if you write these things down, you can feel free to hold us to these things because these are our bylaws that we've agreed to. And so if you notice that somebody has not been doing these things, let me know because this is in fact their own code of conduct. It's in fact their own code of conduct, and they've already kind of agreed to this. So we're gonna start from the top. Georgia White is centering her passion, the passion of her work in service for students. So if you ever see Georgia White not doing that, but she always is, let me know. Ava Wilkins, the Director of Governmental Affairs, is focusing on leveraging our knowledge and resources to truly advocate for the entire well-being of all students. Jabril Dempsey, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, is conducting ourselves with mutual respect. That's our code of conduct. Chikosia Ozor, Director of Academics, is act within the rules, think outside of the box. If you know she is always acting within the rules and thinking outside of the box. So if you ever see him not doing that, let me know. Haley, the Deputy Director of Governmental Affairs, is going to act with integrity and respect, embrace continuous growth, and value diverse perspectives. Madeline Cummings, the Deputy Director of Traditions, specifically campus engagement, is prioritizing respect and empathy within the dialogue we have within ASCSU. Manuel Marquise Avalos, Deputy Director of Governmental Affairs, State and Local Policy, is going to be selfless and effective and work on behalf of all students. Braxton Deep, our Vice President, is going to drive all professional initiatives, projects, policies, programs, and goals within the executive mission, vision, and values. Jillian Cook, the phenomenal Deputy Chief of Staff, is going to honor originality while committing to the collective goals of the ASCSU Executive Cabinet. If I'm losing you, Unique Blake, the Director of Tradition, hers is really good. It's to make the most of your present capacity by demonstrating a growth mindset. Kate Collins, the Director of Environmental Affairs, is going to embrace all students through events to create a more diverse community. Drew Weir, the Deputy Director of Traditions, specifically partner events, is prioritizing allowing levity in this space through the community and connection we build amongst each other, allowing the multifaceted personalities this space holds to shine through our professional strengths, a long one, but a really good one. Nicholas DeSalvo, our student body president, is going to listen to understand the perspectives and viewpoints of one another rather than listening to respond. Lauren Johnson, the Deputy Director of Basic Needs, is going to advocating for your needs, but also the needs you see demonstrated around you in the community, workspace, and beyond. Cassandra, the phenomenal co-director of Graduate Affairs, is going to dream with her heart in your heart, unapologetically. Sophie Anneman is the Deputy Director of Finance and is approaching every situation as you would want to be approached. Sophia Hiller is the Deputy Director of Sustainability, and Sophia's code of conduct is trust that you can rely on your ASCSU teammates. Know that you are not alone in your mission and always ask for help. Joseph Gottschall, our Director of Public Relations, is representing all students at CSU with an image worthy of our organization's history and commitment to change. Yesenia Enriquez, the Director of Marketing, is going to amplify the voices of student body, enhance student engagement, and foster the vibrant community within which CSU embodies through inclusive decision making. Tangia James, the Director of Finance, is going to lead with intention and the good of students. When given a problem to pose great solutions that can solve and better the situation. Lily Kaufman, Deputy Director of Marketing, Graphic Design, is going to take roles and responsibilities seriously without taking ourselves too seriously. And mine is to lead with a solution opposed to a reason why something won't work. You don't want to be remembered as the reason why it didn't. You want to be remembered as the reason why it did. These were all critical for me to share with you today because we're going to facilitate all these good spaces together for the rest of the year. So make sure that we're upholding ourselves to these things and that also you're upholding us and you're holding us accountable to these things. So those are our executive code. That's our executive code of conduct. I now do I have a motion to pull this? Okay, it's being pulled. Everybody, let's pull it together. Can we just go pull it on three? All right. 1, 2, 3, pull. Ooh, that felt really good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much.
Then with that, the Senate will move into ending roll call. Chair Snyder.
Motion to use beginning roll call as ending roll call, with people who came in late, just adding themselves to the list by going up to the front.
Do you want to see any dissent to that motion? Excellent. And this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Have a good night.
That is